Deputy President David Mabuza, in his capacity as the chairperson of the Presidential Task Team on Military Veterans, is visiting Potchefstroom in the Northwest Province for strategic consultations with the provincial government and military veterans associations. Earlier on in the show, our reporter Sentleeng Lehihi spoke to Sam Bopape, the communications director at the office of the Deputy President.
We've seen a number of military veterans actually make their way to this venue. You must recall that this is the second leg of the Deputy President's visit to the province. He began with a visit to the province in Mahikeng in May, where he heard a number of complaints that military veterans have been bemoaning, talking about a lack of access to housing, a lack of access to basic services, including even job placement. They are saying that their skills have been wasted and they have not been given the sheer opportunity to expand and continue being, part of the working community. They've also bemoaned not being able to access their pensions, and they've appealed for the Deputy President's intervention. We have seen as well that this second leg comes after many of those who attended the Mahikeng meeting saying that the representation of military veterans was not adequate to have all their concerns heard, but to give them a chance for them to elaborate on the challenges that they are facing. I'm joined by one such military veteran. Ntate, thank you so much for your time. Can you give us your name and tell us about what you hope the Deputy President will deal with as matters of concern for military veterans?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm Welile Ndlala from MK, and I'm also a representative of PTT, of Liberation Struggle Law in the Northwest.
Now, tell us more about, what comes from the engagements you've heard with other military veterans in terms of the concerns that you're facing. And what do you hope that at the second leg of meetings with the Deputy President, what successes do you hope will be achieved?
No, basically what we anticipate to achieve is what is in our consensus document as LSWV. If I take you back, you remember on the 20th of November 2020, we as military Liberation Struggle War veterans, of which it is formed by APLA, MK and Azanla, we marched to the Union Building to raise our concerns, of which we were neglected. So most of us, when we came from outside the country, we were promised a lot of things, including the reparation, where the United Nations will thank struggle war veterans after achieving democracy. So basically in that consensus document, it was a lot of issues, including housing, education, support for our beneficiary and ourselves, job placement. Yeah, there's a lot.
Do you believe that these engagements with the Deputy President are just talk shop? Do you have faith that they will bring some tangible solutions to these challenges that you're facing?
Yeah, no, I don't think so, because the process is very slow. Yeah, at the bottom, there's this talk. And then the problem is the implementation. When you go to implementation, the process is very slow and is dragging. And especially in the Northwest, you have noticed that this thing of job placement is it's opportunity to place people who were taken out of their jobs through factions, and the current factions bring those people back. But basically, what the Deputy President is bringing here, we don't think it is implemented, because issues of housing is a basic thing. Issues of education is a basic thing. Because military veterans, their beneficiaries are not included in the medical aid, of which the statutory forces, they are benefiting, their dependents are in the medical aid. So, and this thing of housing is not implemented properly.
No, thank you very much for your time, Ntate. One of the military veterans, they're describing to us the shared challenges that they're facing and them hoping that these engagements with the Deputy President will not just become talk shop but need to be implemented. He's bemoaning the fact that most of the implementation here seems to be dragging. There are continuing engagements, but there doesn't seem to be any changing or change to their situation. To have a bit more perspective as to what the office of the Deputy President is bringing here to this military veterans, we're joined by the Director of Communication from the office of the Deputy President, Sam Bopape. Mr. Bopape, please join us here. We are hearing from military veterans about this seeming like ongoing talk shops, but the implementation seems to be slowed. It's second meeting that the Deputy President is having with military veterans. What do we expect to be the change that they see?
Well, thank you very much, Sentleeng, once again for the opportunity. Deputy President David Mabuza, in his capacity as the Chairperson of the Presidential Task Team on Military Veterans, is expected to arrive here in Potchefstroom in the Northwest Province at the First Church at the Army Support Base, ahead of his interaction with the Premier, who's leading the provincial government of the Northwest, together with military veterans associations, to really find a lasting solution to the challenges that military veterans have raised in a number of occasions. You'd know that the Deputy President has previously requested the process to be stand down due to the fact that there was no clear and concise number of military veterans which were supposed to have attended the previous meeting. So now, working together with the provincial coordinators under the Department of Military Veterans, that process has been undertaken to ensure that military veterans, all of them, are brought on board for this interaction with the Deputy President. And as you can see, they're beginning to arrive in their numbers to ensure that they as well find a platform to raise and to voice their challenges.
We see that the formal program is expected to start at 10 a.m. There may be some delays, but can you give us an outline as to how the program will look like?
Well, as part of the program that we should look up to is that the Deputy President will give a clear line of march through his input that will open the session. And thereafter, we will then have also the Premier who will welcome the Presidential Task Team led by Deputy President. We will then have a presentation from the province insofar as outlining the institutional capacity that the province has established, to deal with the issues of military veterans. It will also outline how far is the process of ensuring that the province, working together with national government, has been able to address the socio-economic challenges facing military veterans. That has to do with housing, education, and entrepreneurial support that military veterans really are looking for to meet their own, livelihoods. So then an interactive session will be opened with military veterans for them to interact with the Deputy President through these strategic consultations.